Hello, Bl'Artagnan here, with what I'm hoping will be an Xtreme TCC challenge run of the Crimson Arms Lufenia, Bartz Heretics. I say that because as of this recording they haven't posted TCC challenge requirements, but I figure we're using no synergy and no burst, so, stars align, that'll do it. Otherwise this intro is going to sound a little bit dumb if I end up missing those requirements. We got here a team of Trey, Serah, and Gladio. Gladiolus actually is a bit of a throwback for me because he was a key part of my initial clear of the Ciaran Lost chapter when it came out. I know it's kind of become a bit of a, I don't want to say a meme fight because at the time it was pretty darn hard. But I think a lot of people have unpleasant memories about that fight, and I'm sure I'm not the only person who used Gladio pretty heavily to get through it, both the tigers and the bears. Oh man. Damn mole bear things. Bumping the Gladio back. You'll notice that I have not used Gladio's LD yet. I've found two things. One, I found that I like his rotation a bit better if you hold off like for one turn before using it, because then otherwise I find like the EX charge kind of gets inconvenient with it and it's just kind of a pain. The other reason is because I plan on saving it for later in the fight. Once the bosses start doing that brave gain after turns thing, figured the invincibility will help out quite a bit there. Now Trey is he really appreciates working with both of these two because they got the delightful combo of Encouragement High Armor plus a Paladin Cecil Refined Sphere. The way that works, for those who don't know, is that the 30% Brave gained up bonus from the armor is actually applied to the Refined Sphere additively, meaning instead of it adding the 5% or whatever the Brave that the sphere would give you to your total Brave gain, it adds that plus a 30%. It basically, okay, the math isn't that important. Math sucks, don't do math. The important thing is basically you get the big batteries. You get the big batteries if you put a Refined Cecil Sphere onto a Brave Gain Up High Armor. So, Trey, kind of the man of the hour for this stage, at least for this team, because he's how we get through that obnoxious Brave Gain into the make you hit ones mechanic. I know there are a lot of folks out there who do not like that mechanic. And I gotta say, the way it was applied in the Ciaran Lost chapter, where you had to let them take a turn after, was ass. I hated it. But honestly, I don't find it as obnoxious if they just lose whatever the bad stuff as soon as you break them. Like that gives you some utility for your instant breakers. It makes certain units niches a bit more helpful, and kind of helps them stand out a bit, which I appreciate. Granted, it makes gravity shavers like Ultimisi and Gilgamesh look a little silly when they can do a gravity shave but can't actually finish the deed, but it can't be perfect, I guess. So, this team, which I've kind of been talking over, it's all about the off-turn damage. Basically, that whole battery thing I went into means that Serah and Gladio both are fueling hilarious Brave dumps from Trey, who basically can dump on practically every turn. So, he gets that arrows thing, and now Gladio's going to go ahead and battering him. He dumps the Brave. Then, does he have a counter up? Yeah, he has a counter up, counters, batteries, hits. You see how this is going to go. It's going to be pretty gross. I think Trey also batteries himself based on damage dealt after some of his stuff, his LD or something. So this is just going to be a whole mess of things. And then combine that with, Serah's auras plus Trey's Brave damage debuffs. This is a synergistic freaking team here. I doubt I'm the only person who's come up with this idea for this team. So here I had to use an HP attack, I used an HP attack because I thought that he was going to cleanse once I put him below 59. Turns out he didn't. I also definitely could have used a skill 1 there just to queue up the arrow rain, which could have broken him after I used Grand Delta there. truthfully, I haven't used Trey a whole lot before this fight. I think I used him like once before this for a boss rush. He's really good. He's a character I keep forgetting exists, to my detriment, because he's very good. I actually want to shout out Type Zoe for pointing out to me just how bonkers Trey is. She's not the only person who knows this, but she's the one who kind of just like, yo, Trey's nuts. And as a rule, if Zoe has an opinion on a character in this game, I tend to listen, because she's definitely a better player than I am and has been playing for like a quarter of the length of time, so I'm gonna link her channel in the description. I know she's having some phone trouble, so I don't know if she'll be able to post any runs in the immediate future, but she definitely is someone worth checking out. Very good player with a fantastic sense of humor to boot, so well, you know, what more is there to look for in a content creator, right? So we're getting to that next debuff cleansing threshold. Kind of a pain. Luckily, two of Trey's dump methods are not actually debuffs, so he doesn't really care. Obviously, you know, you want his EX ready for when you need to break them, but other than that, like the debuffs, whatever. Okay, we'll just reapply the LD. It is what it is. Oh, you'll also notice for the summon, I'm going with the brothers to take advantage of Serah's max brave up. That's just a little detail in there. And I'm trying to break out of order, you can see, because that's kind of the rule with off-turn damage teams, is you want to break them out of order so that the bosses take more turns and they take more damage as a result. Because the way damage basically works in this game is, or I guess the damage ceiling for a team, it's based on, you know, how much brave you can fill up and how often you can dump that brave, or splash it. And so if we're filling our brave on our turn, and then also doing it on, you know, dumping it on their turn, that's just like, and doing all these crazy batteries on their turn, it's nuts. Basically, I don't know why I went in this long monologue, but basically, if you didn't already know, for an off-turn damage team, a counter-based team, a trap-based team, messing up the break order so they don't get pushed back actually tends to raise the amount of damage your team does overall. I know for most of you that's already common knowledge, but I figure like one or two people might not know, and it'll be helpful. Man, it is nice to see Gladio LD hitting that hard. Gotta love a team with this setup. I actually forgot to refresh Royal Guard on Serah there. That was entirely on me. The thing is, because Trey's so slow and Serah's so fast, I saw how much Trey had left and thought that Serah had a similar number, but she actually just ran out. So that puts us in kind of a weird spot. Saving Trey's EX for when we need it for the threshold. While queuing up more of that delicious off-turn damage. Goodness gracious. Trey doing more damage on the boss turn than like some characters do on their turn. So instead of using Trey to break them, I actually decided at this point to bring in Bartz. Sadly, we got like Gladiator Bartz instead of Adventurer Bartz or something. I like his costume more than his skin. What can I say? But so yeah, we're this still means we still have the instant break because of Bart's LD. And now, since Gladio's counter is not up, I figured this is a good time to summon and get some free-ish damage. Unfortunately, Serah was not able to bring them both below the threshold, so we're going to have to use back-to-back Bart's LDs to break them. I think in my last video I mentioned that with Bartz I chose to master his 2 skills before using his LD. I think it's... honestly, I'm not really sure what the better answer is. I think if you have like a really turn-hogging character like an Ultimisia, like a Lightning, like a Terra, I think there's a case to be made for using Bartz' skills so that, like, you know, master the 2 skills, get the burst stacked up. Now his auras are at their strongest and they can go crazy. For a fight like this, where we're not really relying on one character. Okay, technically we're relying on Trey to do all the damage, I guess. But Trey's not here. And without Trey here, we don't really need like one character to be benefiting from all these auras. Finally using the Hope LD call to boost Gladio's counter buff. So yeah, we're not really relying on those. So I figure, I needed the gravity at the time, but for these last 2 turns, I figure we'll use Inuki, which I probably should have used missiles since it's a double dump now, but you know, shiny EX button syndrome. And then I'll just use the LD because burst damage. In terms of like which one's objectively better, I'll leave that to the math nerds. But I know you I'm gonna guess you want to stack his auras up, use it by mastering his skills if you have like a very specific turn hogging setup. I can't say in more neutral cases. So I'm not happy about this. They're gonna hit me with that Brio shot. Luckily, because I was all braved up, they didn't do much damage, and because of Hope LD, we're overflowed, which is great because that HP poison's going to... that has a potential to trip you up if you're not careful, because this is a very tight HP requirement. I think it's 5,000 hit points, which is really a very small amount by the standards of this game. Now the Trey's back. I'm going to go ahead and reapply his LD, which probably would have been nice to do before he left, but they were going under the threshold, and you saw how it played out. We're still in a pretty good spot here. 62 turns out of 70. They're quite low. We got the counter still up. Really, the only thing that could ruin our day at this point is a really badly timed Brio shot. Or if the poison on Serah ends up knocking her. I don't think that's going to be a problem at this point, but that was what I was thinking at the time as well. This is the only way I could lose. Let's just make sure that doesn't happen. So I go ahead and use Raining Arrows instead of the EX in order to get that additional off-turn damage. And it's a good thing that I do, because it ends up sealing the deal. And with that, the TCC Extreme Challenge, hopefully, is complete. Not to mention my initial clear of the stage. That Bartz needs better artifacts. He needs 2 more simple masteries. But anyway, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you in the next video. Adios.